Hello, everyone. So I saw a thing today. I saw one thing multiple times, so I thought I should discuss it, I guess, which is Reef the guard. And Reef has spent the last two seasons as the left tackle of the Minnesota Vikings. He's started the majority of the games, and I don't think he's been an eyesore. I don't think he's been anything to write home about either. But it just shocks me a little bit that this is really even becoming a thing just because of how uh, well Remmers from right tackle to right guard went. And I don't know what happened there to make them think, let's do that again on the left side. That's what we should do. And I find it a little curious. And I don't think I agree with putting Reef at left guard. He hasn't played guard since 2009. Brett Favre was the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. That's how long that's been. So, and it's just really hard to find competent left tackle play, which I know some people would be like, well, Reef isn't competent. Well, it's like, given what's out there, he really is pretty competent. And it doesn't help that for most of the year we're throwing 40 to 50 times a game, and except for those final three games. And that's just how that is. And I know some people don't like the Pro Football Focus grades, but it's one of the best ways to kind of track lineman stats. There's not many of them. And Reef did finish with a 73.6 grade, which was good for the 23rd overall tackle. And for anyone that doesn't know how Pro Football Focus works with their rankings, when it's 23rd, he's not the 23rd ranked left tackle. He's the 23rd tackle. There's no left and right distinction. So him being 23 really isn't that bad. And that's actually pretty good. And I imagine at 18, when it comes to draft time, you probably aren't getting one of the top two or three tackle prospects in the whole class, and thus making it very difficult to get an upgrade year one over Riley Reiff. And I know some people will think, well, maybe for the future, but at the same time, the team is built to win now. A lot of the core players are between ages 27, 30, even going into 31 or 32 potentially. And you kind of have to have the win now mentality as opposed to this, oh no, we need to make sure the future's still okay. It's like, if you want this chance, this window is closing, whether we like to admit that or not. And it's much shorter than you would think. Xavier Rhodes is 29, Griffin Linval 30, and you have a lot of that kind of stuff. Barr's a free agent. We don't know if we'll be able to retain him. Richardson, we only had him for 1 year, but also a free agent. And Harrison's also 30. And a lot of these guys getting up there. Even Adam Thielen's like 27, 28, I think. And you start to really wonder, how much time do we have to actually get a championship out of this group? And you can't get one if you're doing that. And I know it probably puts the future in a worse spot, but if you say in one way you have a chance at a Super Bowl and the other one you don't, you probably take the Super Bowl chance, typically. But just in case, I found three guys that I thought might fit the whole Kubiak zone running system, West Coast, Kirk Cousins whole deal offense, that are left tackles who we could find in free agency potentially. And I know this is probably more of a draft thing, but we can make a whole other thing about drafting tackles. This is mainly because there's really not that many offensive linemen on the market anyway, and I can kind of just group this in. It was kind of nice. And the first one I have is Greg Robinson from Cleveland. And you guys might know him better, Greg Robinson from St. Louis, back when he was picked second overall. And he finished 63rd by Pro Football Focus in terms of the tackles and with a 59.6 grade. And I know that doesn't look good on the surface, but he does have all the physical tools that you could ever want, and he does fit this zone scheme well. And the other thing is, he played really, really well during stretches over this past season in Cleveland. And he is also young at only being 26 years old come next season. So he could be far from a finished product. You put him in a Kubiak scheme. Hopefully him being there actually fixes the offense more. And there you go. Maybe we have a guy there who could be, kind of a long-term fix, even a now fix at left tackle if Riley Reiff is a guy they are looking to move inside the guard. Another one I have is Ty Nsekhe from Washington. He finishes the 43rd ranked tackle with a 67.8 grade. And he's a little older. He's 33 come for next season. But he's been a versatile backup for his career, basically. And he's always played well when he came in. He played with Kirk back in Washington. He kind of knows how he maneuvers the pocket, or as some will say, his lack thereof maneuvering said pocket. But sometimes that's kind of a big deal, as linemen need to get used to blocking for different quarterbacks. I think we kind of saw that in 2017, if you remember the Pittsburgh game, when Sam Bradford was supposed to play the game, and then all of a sudden was a game time decision. But they prepared for Sam Bradford playing, and all of a sudden there were sacks left and right because no one was up front was used to the depth that Keenum would drop back. And the fact that he has at least blocked for Kirk before, maybe that's a benefit. Maybe Kirk can vouch for him a little bit. And he has always played well when given the chance to play. So if he's given a much bigger role, bigger chance, does he play as well? We don't know. But we do know that he's been okay in multiple systems. So there's that. And the last one I have is one a lot of people probably won't like. And that is Jake Fisher from Cincinnati. And he was unranked. He didn't play enough snaps to qualify for the Pro Football Focus stuff, but they still give out grades for those guys. And he got a 53.9 grade, which is not good, but this is kind of the key thing with him. He was a second-round draft pick in 2015 out of Oregon, former tight end with strength issues, but had a lot of athleticism to him, and you can get him out in space, and he was supposed to be good in zone blocking. That's what he was basically promised as coming out of 2015. And now, if this sounds extremely familiar, that's because last year you were hearing Brian O'Neill, second-round draft pick, strength issues, former tight end, really athletic zone scheme. They might see the same thing. And he's the only reason to really put him in this list is the same reason why they picked O'Neill in the first place. They technically have a similar ceiling from a physical standpoint. And they could look at that and just be like, well, we might be able to have two tackles that we can pull and get out in space and do screens with, and then all of a sudden it opens up things everywhere. But you also have the issue of that we saw last year sometimes, even though technically O'Neill didn't allow a sack, there were times where we saw him just get pushed back. And I assume you're going to see a lot of similar things with Jake Fisher. But with that, you also get to do all those screens and pulls and all those maneuvers that you probably couldn't do with Reiff sitting there at left tackle. And all of a sudden they become a thing. So there's that. And this one, you probably don't guarantee a starting spot. Not even sure if you guarantee a roster spot with Jake Fisher. But because of how poorly he has played in Cincinnati. And I just think he's so similar to Brian O'Neill. They might give this one a look, regardless if they keep Reiff at tackle or move him into guard, just to bring him in and compete for even a swing tackle position or something like that, some of that nature. So that name might just be a name to circle no matter what anyway. And I would like to know what you guys think about the whole Reiff to guard situation, because I know for a fact they're going to have to fix that contract if they're going to move him to guard, because we've seen how they treat guards. Not the best. And an $11 million cap hit on a guard is probably not something that's going to fly with the Vikings. That's just not how they roll. So I guess there's that thing. They're definitely going to try to fix that, I would think. But I would like to know what you guys think down in the comments below. And until next time, I bid y'all adieu.